we're going to size up an outward swinging door. The reason we can tell that this is an outward swinging door is for the most part it's flush with the exterior. So you'll see that it's flush with the exterior of the jamb. Also, we have hinges exposed. This tells us that the door is going to swing out and to the open air towards us. So this is what we're going to consider an outward swinging door. Also keep in mind that commonly when we run into these doors, they may or may not have a locking mechanism or a handle on the exterior. Typically on stores, commercial structures, you'll see these on the rear of the structure with no operation on them whatsoever. Occasionally you'll see a couple bolts. Those could be carriage bolts for a drop bar, or you may see bolts helping mount panic hardware.
Now, door control for an outward swinging door is even more simple. We don't need a hose strap or any tools or anything. All we need is our body position. Whether it's a shoulder against the door, or perhaps the most effective way is to just use your foot as an anchor. And you can anchor your foot however far out you want the door to open. So if I anchor my foot about 5 or 6 inches out from the door, that's all the door opening that I'm going to get. Now your body position on this door is important as well. I want to have my body shielded by the door so that I'm opening it in this fashion. Now we're going to force our outward swinging door. Of course, this is what you're going to find on a lot of commercial structures. So these are typically going to be a little more formidable doors. Typically you're looking at steel frame, steel door. Typically surrounded by concrete, so it can be pretty hard to get into. So the ultimate goal of forcing the outward swinging door is to get the Halligan end in like that, and then you're simply going to lever it open like so. You'll notice that the door construction, you've got your jamb in place right here. Now on a wood frame door, generally that's going to be attached on, just nailed onto the door. In steel frame, you're typically looking at a rabbeted jamb, so it's just one piece cast in. In some commercial structures, this sheet metal jamb is backfilled with concrete. So this is a really tough area to get past. When we're pounding our Halligan in, we want to make sure that that adze doesn't just drive into the jamb. If it drives into the jamb and it's hollow, we're just going to pierce the jamb, and then we're trying to force the entire frame away from the concrete wall. Obviously that's not what we want to accomplish. If it's concrete filled, then it's simply not going to do anything. We're going to hit up against it, and then that's as far as we're going to be able to drive in, and we're going to go nowhere. So what we want to do is we want to listen. There's going to be a change in tone from the axe hitting the Halligan to when the Halligan hits that metal jamb. When you hear that change in tone, you need to start bringing the adze outwards so it's angling into the door. One thing we got to watch out for is not to go in too steep too early, because this is the way a lot of steel doors are constructed, is they have a rolled edge on the inside, and what we're going to end up doing is digging right into there and skinning the door. It's a lot like when you're doing auto extrication and you catch a piece of the sheet metal and you're not going to make any progress. Now, if this is a tight space and I don't feel like I quite have enough room to get my adze in, then I'm going to call for my axeman to create my gap. I can use the sharp blade end of my axe, come in and get a couple of palm strikes, get it set, then call for a strike from the Halligan itself. Strike, strike. Okay, now I felt resistance. I know that we're not making any forward progress, which means that my blade is up against that jamb that Brian talked about earlier. He's set his tool, he's taken over the tension, I can feel my axe release. So now I'm going to call for my axe to drive that adze end in towards the other side of the door. Now as he's striking, I'm going to keep constant tension on this Halligan to make sure that we clear that jamb that we talked about. Strike! Strike! Forcing. Now when I say forcing, that lets him know that I need this area, so he's going to get clear. So I'm going to get my body behind the Halligan, get a good solid hold on it, and I'm going to push with my legs. Wedge.
Hit! 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 Stop!
Hit! Hit!
So now we're going to talk about an alternative method for forcing an outward swinging door using the fork as your primary method of attack. We're still going to try and obtain a gap using the adze. Once I've created enough purchase for me to turn my tool around and get my fork in there.
Now here's where I want to make sure that I'm not just arbitrarily driving it in. Because as we talked about using the adze end, if he gets that fork stuck in the jam, then we got to start all over again.
So as he strikes, I'm going to be angling the tool this way. Strike. Again, I'm pushing outward. Strike. Now I feel I've got some good purchase and I can see that I'm not hung up on the jam. I'm starting to see daylight through the other side.
Now every time after I strike, I need to be immediately ready to reposition my body. Because every time I strike, that Halligan should be making progress that direction.
Strike! Okay, now, just as we did with the inward swinging door, we have a good point of purchase. I can tell that I've got 2 gloved fingers of the shoulder of the tool showing. Now again, we probably have a flat wall if we're going to be using this tactic. Again, guard yourself without bashing your knuckles. Have an open position. You're going to prepare to force. Push forward. Force the door open. The concerns are the same. We do not want to skin the door. It's going to completely eliminate any structural advantage. We're really relying on the stability of the door being intact. If we come in and we're too aggressive with our angle, we're going to dig into the skin of the door, and that's going to skin the door away, and we're going to lose all structural stability. Forcing.
Okay, so the point of this is we want to stress that the irons are a very useful tool. People tend to underestimate exactly how much you can accomplish with them. But if you're properly trained and know exactly what the ins and outs are of those tools, you'll find them big help. Oops. No, wait. Sorry, back up. Cut. Take 2.
Blooper reel.